yeah,
And
we're gonna have to
there's so many
pick up
guys
the pace
that
for
are
these next
versatile.
ones. Yeah, definitely. They've killed it. They've definitely killed it in the draft. Moving on to the NFC East. We're an
Moving on to the
hour in.
NFC
We've only
East.
done one division.
Yeah, we better make a move. But we did talk 25 minutes about rule changes. So
That's also the division with the most moves per team. Like going forward, there's quite a lot of teams that are small on moves.
you mean like the Cowboys? Let's start with them.
Like the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah.
So you re-sign your running back Rico,
Rico Dowdle, baby.
and then
Let's go.
I called this way ahead of time, but Eric Kendrick signs with the Cowboys.
Great work.
Cornerback Lewis signs with the Cowboys, and then long snapper Trent Sieg. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah,
long snapper. Let's moving on. Yeah.
I give you an F. Sorry,
an F.
It's because they can't do anything because of Dak's contract.
Yeah.
And it's more of that Jerry. We have to rewind back to the beginning of this contract and how Jerry fucked this up by letting Dak get the leverage to why this is an F this many years later.
Yeah, so I gave it a D- because I weirdly actually like the moves. Sorry. I like the moves that they have made, including some of the players that they've gotten rid of. But they can't do anything. The failure of this free agency is not having a plan for Dak in place. Like, how can you come to this situation and not have the answer already sorted? Because if the answer is he's staying, then you sign him. And if the answer is he's leaving, well, there's not really much, then there's not really much you can do. I guess you trade him at this point, and then you try and get the draft capital. Like you trade him to a team like the Patriots, you trade him to a team like the Bears, and see if they want him over their draft.
You have to be able to get 2 to 3 first round picks for Dak. And if you only get 2, you're going to get loaded with other draft picks also.
Yeah, Dak Prescott is... So the Cowboys moving on from Dak Prescott would be one of the bigger gambles that a team has taken. And what could happen is you've built this good roster around him, and Dak Prescott is a top 10 QB, definitely was last year, second team All-Pro. And you take this team and then you move off the quarterback that's got them there. Well, that's crazy. But we can't do anything with this team while Dak is on his current contract. There is nothing that the Cowboys can do. So either the Cowboys win it this year with Dak Prescott, or you failed to move off him, or you restructure his contract this year, but we've now missed out on the free agency window. So it's all a failure. Everything to do with his contract is a failure.
You guys freed up just enough money to sign your draft picks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look, there are other contracts that they could have gone into to make some money to sign some free agents. They could have gone into Trayvon Diggs. They could have gone into Zach Martins. They did go into Dak Prescott's to adjust his bonuses a little bit to make sure that we can get our draft picks. But we are in cap hell. But I do want to give the Cowboys fans some hope here. So in terms of team building, it's an F. But in terms of like actually going forward and for this season, it's not as bad. It's not as bad as that. We addressed the need of Eric Kendricks, of needing a middle linebacker who can actually be the coach on the field, calling the plays with the green dot on the helmet. Like we've got that now. Van Der Esch retiring kills us because people don't give him the credit he deserves. When our run defense fell apart was because Van Der Esch was injured. He's the guy that tackles in the middle of that team. He didn't make big, huge plays, but
the Cowboys' best offseason move was Mike Zimmer.
Yeah, exactly. And which also adds to the addition of Kendricks, right? Because Kendricks knows Zimmer, knows his system, and it makes the transition.
And Trayvon Diggs is going to fit perfect into what Zimmer does. Lock him down one-on-one. That one side, we'll worry about the other side if we have to in zone. You probably won't, but he'll even adjust. but he wants that one corner, which was Xavier Rhodes for years for him.
Yeah.
The only reason I gave it an F, and it's like I said, you have to go back to when Jerry fucked up the whole Dak contract because that led us to where we are.
Yeah, and people are saying, oh, well, the Cowboys have lost these players. If you actually look at the losses, they're not real. They're not massive. Tyron Smith hurts, but Tyron Smith only plays 13 games a year. We have the guy in-house who did a great job at left tackle in Tyler Smith, a great job at left tackle when he was down. So that's more of a lateral move. It means we're going to have to get a guard somewhere, like in the draft. That'll hopefully fit in. Tony Pollard isn't a number one running back. Like he's in the same kind of category as Swift, right? So he's a number one. He was asking for number one running back money. He can go to the Titans. That's okay. We'll draft the running back in the draft. That's a position that is easily fixed in the draft. And then Biadish, I don't understand why people are so upset that Biadish is gone. Biadish was the weak point in our offensive line. Like, he wasn't a good center, and this is a really strong center class in this draft. Like, if we can draft a center this year, there's a really, really strong class. So the players that we've lost, I'm not that hurt about. The not adding players isn't awful either, but we just do not have an answer on Dak Prescott, and that is a failure at this point of the season or the offseason to not have an answer of what we're doing with Dak Prescott.
Yeah, that whole thing is wild to me that they haven't made a move. I thought that was one of the first things they would have done, but I'm sure they have a plan, and it doesn't look like giving in to Dak's demands is one of their plans. So either they're going to find an equal medium, or they're going to move on, or maybe it'll come down to where you ride it to see what happens, and a team like Atlanta will tamper the fuck out of your quarterback, and you can go from there.
Yeah. It's just an interesting move. Should we go to the painfully brilliant Philadelphia Eagles? Is that the next team on the list?
No, it's the Giants.
Okay, we can stay with the Giants. That's fine. We can stay with the Giants.
So you got quarterback Drew Lock, running back Devin Singletary, wide receiver Isaac McKinnon's. Go for it, Maddie. Name that guy.
Is it McKenzie?
No, the other guy. The guy after Jeremiah.
Hang on then. Let me have a quick look.
Let's see if your British history skills can help you with pronouncing it.
Oh, no, not a clue.
Okay.
Eluamuno?
Yeah, tackle.
Eluamuno?
Tackle, Matt Nelson. John Runyon from the Packers. Interesting signing. Aaron Stinnies. Austin Schultman, which is a great backup, you guys. He was on the Vikings for a while, and he played great as a backup, and so that was a good move for depth. And edge Brian Burns, which in a trade probably was their best move. Now, look, everybody's going to say that, yes, they lost Saquon, and we all knew that was coming from last year. Like, we already knew they weren't going to re-sign him. Yes, the Giants are still going to be ass, but I really like their offseason moves.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they've just said our O-line is a complete shit show, so let's just see what else we can do. Yeah, it's very... Look, Daniel Jones isn't as good as his contract, and Daniel Jones's contract is the reason that you've lost Saquon Barkley. But Daniel Jones probably is a starting quarterback in the NFL, considering there's 32 quarterbacks in the NFL and we can't fill the spot. So Daniel Jones is a starting quarterback in the NFL in terms of the skills that he has and that kind of thing. Nobody can play quarterback if they're getting sacked 10 times in a game. Like, you can't play quarterback if you're getting sacked 10 times in a game. So I know you said John Runyon, maybe not the best signing. I don't really care.
Well, no, I said he was from the Packers. That was interesting. That's what I said about Runyon. It was interesting.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a bad signing.
Yeah, they have literally signed 2 tackles, 2 guards, and a center. Like, they've gone, right, I don't care. I almost didn't care what they were doing at O-line. I didn't care who they signed. They just needed to sign anybody because what they've got isn't good enough. So yeah, good moves from the Giants.
Is huge.
Brian Burns is one of the best trades what did they get? What did it take them?
It
A
was
second and a fifth.
all right. Yeah, a 2024 fifth round pick in exchange for a 2024 second and a fifth. So they get a fifth back, but they give up a second and a fifth.
Yeah, and a conditional fifth in 2025 as well. But for Brian Burns, that's fine.
Yeah,
yeah, it's
I
pretty
actually
incredible.
give them a B because I said they're still going to be ass, but I like their moves.
Yeah, I weirdly like Drew Lock as a move, and I weirdly like Devin Singletary as a move as well. Like Devin Singletary is that level of running back. Like you can't, if you're the Giants, you can't justify a Saquon Barkley if you're that bad either. That's what I thought about the move on from Saquon Barkley. Like you can't. It's kind of okay because you can't justify Saquon
And
if
who
you're that
wants to
bad
pay
anyway.
Saquon that much? That's the thing. Like, no
Yeah,
shot at Saquon, but like, dude got paid.
yeah. Like the Eagles can, like a team like the Eagles, even though they were the worst team in the NFL at the end of the year, but what the Eagles are probably going to be going into this year, a team like the 49ers can justify spending money on a running back.
You know
If
they
you're the
weren't the worst
Giants,
team in the NFL last year at the end either.
statistically and in record, they look like it. But the if you're one of those teams, you can justify spending that money on a running back. But if you're like the Giants, you can't justify spending that money on a running back when you have no pass rush, no pass protection, and no other weapons. Like you can't just say, "Oh yeah, but we're paying Saquon this amount of money." So, not a bad off-season moves from the Giants there. I've given them a B as well.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Eagles. They signed Will Greer to a 1-year contract, quarterback. This is the one that blows me away. So Kenny Pickett goes for more than Justin Fields.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
repeat
insane.
that. More than Justin Fields. Quarterback Kenny Pickett, running back Saquon Barkley, wide receiver Paris Campbell, wide receiver Devontae Parker. Like these were all top pick guys too, if you think about it. They upgraded at tight end with Okawana Buna. Fucking what is I can't do these.
No, that's okay. Just go for it.
Drake or London Dickerson, offensive guard Matt Hennessy.
Center is Landon Dickinson's going to play center, but
yeah. Brian Graham edge, Bryce Huff edge, Zach Braun linebacker, Oren Burks. Oren is a good name. Like where the fuck I've never like where we go. Okay. Linebacker Julian Okwara. I don't know.
Yeah.
Linebacker Devin White. Cornerback Tyler Hall. CJGJ at safety coming back. Kicker Jake Elliott. Brandon Mann at punter and long snapper Rick Lavato. Yeah, that'd be like Demi Lovato. Like I don't know. Good Python name.
Something like
Good
that.
Python name.
Basically, Howie Roseman's a fucking wizard. That's what I've taken from their free agency.
How is Kenny Pickett worth more than Justin Fields? They both suck balls, but at least Justin Fields is a supreme athlete.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett also can't throw from the pocket, but at least Justin Fields, if he breaks Justin Fields can win you a game by himself. He can also lose you a game, but Kenny Pickett was a backup quarterback when he was drafted, like straight away. Like he should have been drafted as a backup quarterback to go. I don't get it. It just kind of rubs the face in the Bears a little bit more, considering they traded to Pittsburgh as well. And then Pittsburgh got more out of that deal.
The Eagles receiving core is so deep.
Yeah, I mean Devontae Parker has like done nothing at New
Look where he was.
I'm sorry, you can't call Keenan Allen old and then allow Devontae Parker.
Yeah, but when Devontae was in Miami, he played well.
Yeah.
And now you're talking that he's going to be 4th or 5th on your depth chart.
Yeah, it's also the experience that brings as well. That's the other part of that, right? It's the experience that brings. Paris Campbell as your third. Is Paris Campbell their third on the depth chart or the
That would be
fourth on the
my
depth
guess,
chart?
but I'm
He
sure that'll
goes,
play out.
yeah. So it'd be AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Paris Campbell, Devontae Parker, and then Julio Jones is not as retired, surely.
And
But
then they brought in Saquon.
yeah.
This team is fucking stacked.
So I didn't love the Saquon move when they first like putting my pundit hat on. I don't want him in our division for the Eagles anymore as a Cowboys fan.
I don't like what they
My
paid him, but he's amazing.
yeah, I wasn't keen on the move because they have holes in other places, and then they bring in Devin White, and you think, oh my god, like, and then CJ Gardner Johnson, like, okay, you get in a reject from the Lions, like secondary,
He's coming
fine.
back to where he played his best football.
Yeah, it's a good it's a good move. It's a good move. Eagles fans kind of going crazy about it. I'm not I'm not sure he's a massive needle mover, but the biggest thing that they've done is so they've lost the leadership of Kelsey and Fletcher Cox. They've lost their two leaders on either side of the ball. But what they've replaced that with is Landon Dickerson, who's going to be one of the best centers in the league, and Bryce Huff, who's a great edge player. And then the leadership also comes from Devin White as well, who was a leader for that Super Bowl winning Bucks team as well. So they've brought in experience in the wide receiver room and the linebacker room, and they've brought in leadership, they've brought in talent, and it's just not fucking fair. That's what it isn't, Jay. It is just not fucking fair.
Hey,
Fuck you, Harry Roseman.
Look at all the people they signed, and now
The Cowboys don't sign.
The
Cowboys don't sign people in. The Cowboys don't sign people in free agency. That's fine, but it's not the amount. It's just the standard of player as well. Like it's the standard that's a real issue. Like we could have really done with a Devin White.
Yeah, I love the moves they
fuck
made.
Him. Fuck him. A+ and fuck him for it.
All right. Well, let's move on to the last team, the Washington Commanders, or as they call them on Pat McAfee, which makes me laugh, the Washington Commies.
The Commies. Let's go Commies.
Yeah. Quarterback Marcus Mariota, running back Austin Eckler. Wow, stacking running backs in your division. Jamison Crowder at wide receiver, tight end Zach Ertz, Cornelius Lucas, offensive tackle, Nick Archuleta, offensive guard, Tyler Badasses.
Biadish.
Yeah. No, what?
Biadish.
No, it's better when you call them badasses. I said I did that on purpose.
Badasses.
Yeah, I said I did that on purpose because I just like it.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Michael Dieter at center, edge with Dorrance Armstrong, edge Farrell. What is that? Celine?
Clelin?
Okay. Farrell. Dante Fowler at edge, I think was a good signing too. Yeah. Efi Obadaba, I don't know, whatever. I feel like it's tongue tied.
That's a good effort.
What is with some of these fucking last names though? Like Frankie Love You, like, and I know it's probably pronounced Lavu. I was just gonna say it's probably not pronounced Lavu, but it's Love You. Bobby Wagner is a great one-year signing. Michael Davis at cornerback James Pierre, Jeremy Chin, Brandon McManus. You have to resign him because that is one of the best kickers in the NFL. And live snacker. I said I don't know where that came from. Long snapper Tyler Ott.
Yeah, the Commanders have also got a lot better, I think. Like,
they're on the way up. Like, I'm not saying they're going to win anything this year. They're going to cause people problems. Dan Quinn is a good fucking coach. Like, depending what they do in the draft, this team is getting better. Like, the Riverboat Ron era is over.
Yeah, they've done a very similar thing to what like the Vikings have done, what the Bears are trying to do as well, where it's whatever quarterback walks into that situation, they're going to walk into as good of a situation as they can make it.
That's what makes me feel weird about them saying they're willing to trade out of 2. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, they need a quarterback at that point.
Unless their thought is we're sold on Michael Penix and we can drop back to 11 with the Vikings, take Penix, and pick up another first-round pick next year. I don't know. And then they weirdly have their front office being run by an NBA guy. So that, like, I'm not sure how all of that's going to work out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's I agree with you. I think they are probably sold on Penix if they're looking to move back. They're just seeing what they can get, and they still have a lot of holes on their roster. Like weapons-wise, they've got Scary Terry McLaurin, great wide receiver.
I just read that they might be willing to trade him too, but I don't know if this is all that pre-draft nonsense.
Yeah,
because
I'm not sure about
just
that.
For the record, I'm a true believer that the Vikings still end up trading up to number 5 with the Chargers and taking J.J. McCarthy. I think that's how it works out. But there's all these rumors that they might be willing to get out of 2. And now people can fucking slap me in the face. If the Vikings got up to number 2 with them, I'm not sure who I want between Jaden Daniels and J.J. McCarthy. I've become so sold on J.J. McCarthy being perfect for Kevin O'Connell. And I don't know if I talked myself into this, because I probably did, that I'm weirdly in this weird spot where I love Jaden Daniels. But if JJ is perfect for O'Connell, then, but I don't think the Washington Commanders are going to trade out of 2. I think they have to take a quarterback.
Yeah, the Commanders have done a similar thing to the Vikings, where Marcus Mariota they've taken to take the pressure off kind of the incoming quarterback.
That's why it makes me feel like it's Jaden Daniels, because Marcus Mariota is a
similar
mobile quarterback that if they have to throw him in,
running back friendly, quarterback friendly running back in Austin Eckler, like a lot of dump offs. Like
I wanted the Vikings to sign Austin Eckler for a long time in free agency, and then they got Aaron Jones, so I was cool. But
I love Austin Eckler.
Your division is stacked with running backs,
apart from the Cowboys. But yes, we'll probably draft the first running back off the. We'll probably draft whoever the first running back to come off the board is.
They're saying not until round 3 or 4 do they expect a running back to come off the board this year.
I think we'll probably take Trey Benson maybe in the 3rd, maybe at the end of the 2nd. The only issue with Trey Benson is he's coming off a pretty major injury. But anyway,
I give him a
Zach Ertz, I gave him an A.
Okay.
I love what they did. And Bobby Wagner is the one for me where it's like, okay, you just bring in a complete culture changer in Bobby Wagner.
And then that dude is stud.
And then Dan Quinn brings out a really good defense as well. Like Dan Quinn creates good defenses. So just called a terrible game in that Green Bay game. But apart from that, he's been really good. So yeah.
All right. So Maddie, all up and down the board. And like I said, I only gave you guys an F that has to do with years ago when it comes to, I just don't like how they dealt with Dak, which makes this offseason super hard. So I don't think you guys did the worst. And I actually think after the draft, you guys will sign more depth pieces. And I don't think people understand that you guys have the perfect personnel for Mike Zimmer. The only thing is that you're not going to get Curse back because Zimmer and Curse hate each other. So there's that. But all around, I would give the whole division a B+.
Yeah, I think that the NFC East has all got better. The NFC North and the NFC East, there are better divisions this year.
I think they're going to be two of the best divisions in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. This podcast is running a bit longer than our usual ones. Would it be worth stopping it here and on Thursday doing the NFC South and the NFC West?
Yeah. And then it gives us more time next week. We can do the AFC. And then before the draft, Maddie and I, if I can find the right simulator, are going to give you a 7-round mock draft